Yay!
We did it!
Good afternoon. My name is Bradley. I'm the Director of Marketing for Aurifil, and I'm joined today with Liz from Sew4Home.
Hello, hello from Houston.
We're incredibly live, and we have the setup of market taking place around us. So if you're hearing noise of trucks and things crashing around,
and it's real.
Exactly
this is the true behind the scenes.
Indeed, isn't it? So the reason we're sitting here today and taking a break from setup is to discuss the new Aurifil 88 threads. We have just launched this morning at the Premier Schoolhouse a selection of 88 colours in the new Aurifil 88 100% Egyptian cotton, which come on these charming cherry wooden spools.
They are charming.
Indeed. And Liz is joining me as Sew4Home is an ambassador of Aurifil threads. They're an ambassador and they work with our threads in the spectrum outside of quilting. So we sent some threads across to Liz, and Liz and her team have had a play around with them and have come up with some absolutely fantastic creations. Liz, do you want to talk us through them?
I do, and I was so excited about this thread. It's really exciting to have not only a fine thread like this, and so that's the thing that is wonderful about the thread, if you're not as familiar with how that is labeled. Unlike your bathroom scale, as you go up in numbers with thread weight, it is finer, which I wish it worked that way. But it does not. It does not work that way, but it does. So 80 weight, that means that is a finer thread than the 50 weight that you have. And we also love the fact that as 100% cotton, it is a matte finish. And it can be very difficult to find something fine, 100% cotton that is going to really give us the look that we wanted. So we took a look at it, took it back as a team and said, all right, we probably have 3 different things that as basically a home decor focus with Sew4Home.com. We wanted to try it with machine applique, also with machine cross stitch, which is kind of like a subcategory from machine embroidery, and then finally with a super dense, very, very precise machine embroidery. So this is like a sneak peek. We have these projects that will be debuting on the site, on Sew4Home, in a couple weeks. This is 7th, 8th, and 9th of November. So mark that on your calendar. You're going to want to be there. Not only are the instructions there for all the projects, but Aurifil has underwritten the cost of providing free design downloads. So everything that you're seeing, the sneak peek, everything that will be on the site, you can go to the download page and you can download the file format. You've got the 6 top embroidery machine formats. Absolutely free. Absolutely free. So the first thing that we did was the classic machine applique. And if you first just start from a little bit back, what we've seen is that this actually looks like this is gingham fabric. Like, oh, that's interesting, Liz, you've appliqued gingham fabric. But no, if our lovely camera woman, Erin, zooms in, you can see this is actually machine embroidery that is making that look of that gingham. Those are individual lines that are so fine, they look like woven thread on an actual piece of fabric.
It's incredible. So
that worked wonderfully. And we also found that the consistency of the stitch was beautiful in the machine applique. So we have this adorable little green apple. We also have a red apple, because you have to have a red apple, of course. I mean, and even these little details, like you can see down here, there's a little detail that's happening there with the thread. You can't do that with a regular weight thread. And then of course you have to have a pair. This is our beautiful pair. And this is just a lovely mode of toweling, but it is such a fine, precise thread that really you could use this on just about anything. And we just were over the moon with that, in that detail. Now cross stitch, if you're familiar with cross stitch at all, you hold that.
thank you.
It's traditionally hand done.
I didn't even know.
You're not
you were
doing
a
cross
fried
stitch like you used to as
No.
a boy.
No, exactly.
But it is. It's normally it's a handwork. It's traditionally an heirloom technique, and it's very important that it is a matte finish, because if you have a shiny thread, it's just going to look weird. It's not going to look like it's the right thing for cross stitch. So we were able to get these itty bitty little cross stitches, hence the name, and be able to pull out the different thread colors so that you get the shading. That's traditional cross stitch. But even as it's coming out here in the little individual stems that are coming out, we're calling this our autumn leaves. And so this is on just a beautiful linen placemat, and then we pulled out a couple of the designs so that there's a smaller version that you can use for the corner of a napkin. And again, you can, you're getting close enough here to see the weave of the linen, and you start to see how beautifully precise that thread is stitching.
Indeed.
Now, one thing, if any of you out there and comment or ask questions, or as you find out more about this, if you've ever tried to do machine embroidery, especially dense machine embroidery with a traditional cotton thread, it's like lint city, and this thread is virtually lint free. Now, I learned something in the schoolhouse this morning.
You can tell me why. You can tell me
and
why.
if I didn't know there would be a test, but I think that's the mercerizing step. Singeing step. The singeing step. Okay.
Step.
So
somebody would like to know if we can use this thread on the embroidery machine.
Oh yeah, that is what we did this on. Now
Yep.
we, Sew4Home is a Janome site. We use exclusively Janome machines. All of our samples were done on Janomes, but we tested this on all of our stitch outs on a low-end Brother and on a higher-end Bernina.
Okay.
And so it worked beautifully in all of them. Different designers have different ways that they like to work with things. We really feel like this works the best with the 80 weight in both the bobbin and in the upper thread. Again,
Yes.
your tolerances with something this tiny, your tolerances are so fine. And so this thread is actually lighter weight than most bobbin threads. Like if you were to buy just a bobbin thread.
Indeed.
This is finer than a bobbin thread. So that's just going to give you, once again, that ability to get that super precise, clean stitch. So loving this, and again, this will be available next week.
So that one was done with the 80 in the top, 80 in the bobbin.
Yep, all of them were done that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because some of our other designers have also tried and tested with 80 in the top and 50 in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I suppose tweaking machines and personal preferences.
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
nice just to try it out, try some different ways to see how you get the best results.
Yeah. And again, to the question, just to reemphasize, all of the majors, we have the 6 major embroidery formats that these designs are all available in. So that you can do any of them. So this lovely little bag, and as we've talked about before, I think Sew4Home is kind of known for our bags and totes. So of course we knew we had to do at least one bag. And this
you have a new
is
book.
and we do have a new book that is all bags and totes.
Super.
This is our lion's head design, and this was digitized by one of our seamstress team members, Michelle Mischler. And yeah, I don't know how this will come across when people are looking at it on their screens, and I wish I almost had like a little tiny seam gauge or something like that, but we can use my nail to kind of give you an idea of how tiny this is. And so if you have ever done any kind of machine embroidery, in a lot of cases, this would be considered micro embroidery, which is traditionally only done on like multi-head embroidery machines.
Yes.
Not usually done on a single head home embroidery machine. But we were able to get that kind of precision in these itty bitty stitches here, and the mandala in his forehead, and all of the fill stitches through here. It's just, you look at that, it's just perfect. It's perfect. Obviously, we love
Exquisite.
the precision that we get with the Janome machines, but so much of it has to do with the thread. And I think, you know, we did hear that in the schoolhouse this morning. People are like, oh, another thread.
Yes.
Great, I need another thread. But unless you want the frustration of trying to stitch it and ripping it out or having it not look like you want it to, it is so worth it. And
If you're
there
putting the
is,
time in,
oh, it's worth it. And there's a lot. I mean, it's a fine thread. There is a lot of thread
There is.
on one of those spools. And really, just this side of don't try this at home. Do not try this in another thread. It won't work. I mean, it's like, I need that giant disclaimer that, you know, I think if you tried to use something other than the 80 weight to do these designs, it just would not work well at all. One final thing that I will mention, and we do mention on the site as we go through it, with something like this where we've stabilized it, because this is actually the pocket of the bag, we tried it a couple different ways, and when we put the stabilizer on first, a fusible stabilizer, and we stitched, just that little bit of glue that came through was enough to give the machine a little bit of fits. But as soon as we took that away, just stitch the embroidery, and if you have an element that you want to add this to, stitch the embroidery first, then stabilize it, and put it all together. And it's just, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love it.
So all three of these projects will be available on the Sew4Home website. With the downloads next
7th, 8th, and 9th of November. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we have a little bit of time when we get back from market to make sure everything is really working correctly. But yeah, and you know, the tote is probably the most complex of them as a project, but even it is still, it's a simple bag. It's got some cool riveting and things happening with that. But the napkins and the toweling, those are super easy projects. And really the designs are lovely enough. You could use them on anything. I mean, that cross stitch, I could even see that on like a child's gown or something like that. You know, a beautiful little bodice or a christening gown or something like that.
And whilst the patterns and things are available to download 7th, 8th and 9th of November, the threads themselves will be in stores in December. So we're now taking orders and things from store owners at the show, and we'll be shipping this month. So December is the time to grab your 80 weight.
And it's the time, if for any reason you do not find it at your local quilt shop, then make sure that you let them know that this is something that you've heard about, and there'll be more information.
You need to start making demands.
Yes, there'll be more information on the Aurifil site in about a week.
Exactly. Yes, next week.
But yeah, let your local independent quilt shop know that this is something that you want to experiment with and have them stock in all the beautiful 88 colors.
Yes.
You need all 88 colors.
You do, and yes, if the demand comes, all 270 colours will be available in no time.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. So we're excited to do some more things.
Exactly.
I'm sure we will. And yeah, if you guys have any other questions, send them on through.
Just put the comments in below and we'll answer those.
Yeah.
And yes, that's it from us here. We're going to catch up with you again throughout the course of Quilt Market. So stay tuned.
Yes, thank you everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.